Hello and welcome to the Joinery Business Podcast. Here at the Joinery Coach, one of our main programs we run is our Joinery Manufacturing Excellence Program. On the show today, we have Bruce and Aaron who will go over what this program is all about, what makes Joinery Manufacturing Excellence Program so unique, and how will it help your joinery business. They go over some of the opening steps that help facilitate that change from where you're at to manufacturing excellence, and what are the smaller steps you can take to reach that yourself. If you have any questions about today's episode, be sure to jump on over to the Joinery Business Hub on Facebook. Now, without further ado, let's jump into today's episode.
All right, welcome to the Joinery Business Podcast. I am joined by our resident guru and amazing lean trainer, Aaron Gibb. Aaron,
hey, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. And we're going to just do a quick conversation here around our Joinery Manufacturing Excellence Program, which is essentially founded in lean methodologies, sprinkled with a bit of our own magic gold dust. Aaron, the beginning of lean starts at a certain place, getting people's mindset around things, getting people to understand the methodology. I think that one thing that a lot of people don't understand is they're already lean to a certain degree. We're already to a degree of efficiency. So it's not like we have to do or not do lean, right? You're already doing it, maybe not well, but you're already doing it to a degree. What was one of the sayings that you bring up when you train people in the first modules? I can't remember how it goes. It's something like you don't do lean. You don't do lean.
You use lean tools.
That's right. Yeah, lean isn't something you do. You just use the tools of it to gain efficiency.
Yeah, exactly. And that's pretty much where it comes from. Everyone, as you said, everyone is a bit organized. Everyone likes to think their area is the tightest it can be. I think people just mistake it for being just making it look tidy or making it look clean. That's not really what we're sort of trying to get to.
Yeah, obviously they kind of clean up their mess, right? They organize the things they shouldn't have sitting there in the first place, calling that organized.
Yeah, exactly. They go through, they'll organize, they'll sweep it all up, they'll vacuum up, they'll polish the floor if they need to. But it's realistically not what. I mean, it's a part of it, but it's not really what we're trying to achieve. We want to make sure that they've got everything that they need for that task in the area that they're working. Yeah. Try and help to eliminate those, the walking, the trying searching for things.
Yeah.
Because every time you walk away, you bump into someone or you talk to someone, so that 5 minutes to go and look for something quickly turns into 20 minutes.
So when we started crafting this program, let's say the efficiency gains in joinery manufacturing excellence, and we started with just the basics, like what are just the rudimentary simple things. We actually slotted safety in as the very first thing. Can you tell us a little bit about why we did that and what the benefit is of doing safety first?
Yeah. So obviously, we do safety first. No, it's not only because it is very important, and everyone does care about each other's safety. Yeah, it's also something that a lot of people can agree with safety. So you don't really normally get too many people go, "Oh no, I don't think that's safe." There's panels sitting up against the wall. Look like they could fall on someone. Oh no, that's safe. That's safe.
That's okay. I'm at risk. I'm okay
people.
With that.
Yeah, people generally don't. They're not going to argue over it. So it's a really easy way to sort of break that ice. And then when we start to move into the other the modules of it, and like your 5S, visual workplace, and all that sort of stuff, it makes those conversations go a little bit easier. But realistically, it should be the first module that we look at. It is super important.
What are some of the big glaring safety issues you see on a regular basis? Like the image behind you is obviously it's a green screen, but we can see that there's a fire hose behind you.
Yes.
And we can kind of see what we see a lot, right? Where there it is, and it's clear right now, but it might very well have stuff piled in front of it in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, definitely. So, and that is one of the things that you do see. You see fire extinguishers generally will be the first ones that sort of get covered up and don't, or no one, we'll just put it there for the moment. We'll move it if we need it. We haven't used the fire extinguisher. But yeah, fire hydrants, the hose reels and hydrants alike, emergency exits are another one. I see that quite a bit through in general too. It's not even just in factories. You see it all over the place. So it is very important to make sure that we do keep these sorts of equipment, boarded off. They usually have to have like a meter by a meter square around the base of them or something along those lines, depending on the state you're in. Yeah, and it's good to be there. They need to be notified. They need to be in working order is another good one.
Yes.
No point having a fire extinguisher that does it. That's already been discharged and someone's just hung it back
Doesn't
up
work.
on the wall.
Yeah.
Because it's all just in case. But yeah, definitely, I know I would rather have it in case and be sitting there never used for 10 years than not have it when you need it. So
I think what a lot of people don't focus on, probably because of the way they've been conditioned, if there's a risk, put safety glasses on, put hearing protection on, put a dust mask on. That's the first thing and the only thing they do. Most people are not talked about elimination, really, are they? Eliminating the risk in the first place. That's probably a really common thing you're seeing, about focusing on the very last, layer of protection rather than the first one.
Yeah, and look, to be honest, I even in like all my 22 years, I've never seen it anywhere that people, just put your earmuffs on, just put your eye protection on, you'll be fine. Every now and then you'd hear someone, I was very big for putting the guard down on a panel saw. That was just one thing that I've always been told. And I watched a guy actually get his finger cut. And I was like, well, if you just had the guard down, your hand wouldn't have been under that board and whatever. So that, to me, that was just one thing. You always have the guard down as hard as possible to the material you're cutting. But, you still see it these days. They lift them. Oh, I just want to see me line that I've marked and I want to trim up to it. It's just so simple to slip, like the dust is very slippery. So, grip tape's a good thing when it comes to using a panel saw, having that over the floor or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't take long. Next minute, off you go.
We do see a lot of cabinet shops and joinery businesses that are really, really dangerous, and just lucky they haven't had more accidents.
Yeah. And I suppose I didn't really take much notice of it. Like a few years ago, I was quite fortunate to go to one of the board manufacturers' facilities, which is located sort of on the Central Coast here in New South Wales. It was quite amazing to see how their safety systems worked. Like to walk around their factory, you had to obviously sign in and do all this, have your vest on, and there was footpaths that you walked on. But they had these robotic machines that moved everything around, and there was also forklifts. So if you had to cross a threshold, like cross a driveway or something like that, you would open the gate and a bloody siren thing would go off in your ear. But that was just to notify people, to say everyone stops, all the robotics stopped. As soon as that gate opened, no matter if it was next to you or if it was, 200 meters away, that robot stopped.
Yeah.
As soon as the gate closed, the robot could resume. So that's a really, really good example of an engineering control that can sort of save. Obviously, not a lot of people are going to have that sort of need for that sort of safety, but when it comes to a place like that board supply with all that sort of material and everything going on, you can definitely see how
it's a good,
PPE is not going to protect you from that.
No, but it's a good example too, particularly in the world today where we're so distracted by our phone. It's not unusual to see someone standing in a factory looking at their phone with a forklift running behind them with earmuffs on, and that forklift driver doesn't even know they're there. The forklift will kill you pretty quickly.
Yeah. And I mean, it's only going to get worse because, we went through a whole period where you got mobile phones and it was like, oh no, stop using mobile phones. But now it's like, oh, let's use mobile devices to update job progress and do all these bits and pieces. So there's definitely a cause for that. I mean, I'm a big fan of the earmuffs with the microphone in them.
Yeah.
I've seen that used once, and, anyone could talk to anyone. They were all on the one sort of the channel.
It's a little bit like on the plane where you can talk to row E36.
Yeah. But also too, if the production manager needed to get a message out to someone, they just press a button and everyone gets it. And I just thought, you know what, that's a really good, I remember that I'd be forever walking backwards and forwards if you had to go and get someone, they might have got a personal phone call, just something simple. It didn't have to be anything major, but I think that's also a very, very good way. So whenever a forklift would come in, they'd hit the button and say we're entering the facility or something like that. So
yeah, and even just having simple line markings, it says when there's a forklift here, no humans can be here, or humans here, no forklift can be here. Just that simple understanding based on that's what this area means. Okay, so we've gone from safety. We start off with safety to make sure everybody has respect for everybody else. We have respect for human life and safety. So that's what we're going to lead with. And then we lead into 5S. And we've pared back 5S really to 3S. Let's just talk about S1. What is it? What does S1 kind of start with? What are we looking for?
So we start with the sort, basically. So, we want to get everything out of the work zone. Ideally, you'd start with zoned areas. That way, you know where you're working. And then, you sort of go through, you take everything out, and then you only really put back in what you need.
How do we define need? How is that definition come about?
Well, realistically, it's what do you need for that job, that task. So if you're, you could be in assembly, so, you're going to need a hammer, you might need a cordless drill, you might need some screwdrivers, some hand tool, those sorts of things. We don't need a jig from 20 years ago or 10 years ago that someone's kept because we might need that again one day. I made this, it took 2 hours for me to make the jig. Probably never going to use it realistically. And if you do, it's more than likely either worn out, full of dust, broken, things like that. So a lot of the times it is those, or it could be broken items,
So how do we justify, Aaron, like if you're the business owner or one of the workers saying, oh yeah, but that big pile of offcuts, we might use that next month. How can we justify throwing it away when they're saying, well, it's a physical thing, it has value, and we might need it at some point in the future? Why would we not keep it?
Yeah, so we like to use like a 3 little pile system when we come to site to do the 5S training, and we like to do this. It's also called red tagging, tagging out something. But basically, if you don't think it needs to be in that position, and you don't know if it needs to be thrown out, obviously you want your guys on the floor to do this sort of thing. It's not really for the owner or the production manager to come down and tell them what they need in their work zone. So if they deem that they don't need it in there, but they don't know if it needs to be thrown out or where it goes, we have a question mark pile, and that's for the production manager and the owner to go over, and see what they need to do with it. Yeah. The other one is obviously the throw out. So if it's damaged or, just if it is general trash or too small or off card or, then we can go straight in the trash. And then if it's stuff that you want to keep, that you want to put back in that area, then that's what you do. You sit it in that pile, you go through and you sort it out, clearly put it back, label it. I'm actually a big fan of labeling the like the shelf you're going to put it on, for instance, and then the container that it goes in. So if you're putting it into a tote on a shelf, label the shelf and the tote, because a lot of times you'll take the tote out and someone will have it on their bench and like, oh, where's all that gone?
Excellent.
But if there was no label there, you don't know, and you're just putting that tote could go back somewhere else. So
I think this is a really good little short introduction to how we start our Joinery Manufacturing Excellence program. We could go on, Aaron, you and I could probably sit here and talk for 5 hours if we really wanted to. But what I'd like to do here is just leave it at that. It's a nice short little introduction. And the next podcast in the future where we carry on with this, we'll talk about S2 and S3 and the rest of it, how it all kind of ties together. So thanks for your insights. I'm sure that we're going to create some interest from this little series. And we'll see you soon.
No worries. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Aaron.
See ya.